everyone, welcome to the series on freedom struggle of India that I promised you guys yesterday. And as we discussed that starting from Quit India, we will be covering it up to 1947 independence with that unfortunate partition, right? So we are starting today. Now that we have to start from 1942, we have to understand that Quit India has passed to it. It has its own history which starts if not earlier than at least from 1939 when World War II started, right? So if we talk about some of the important events in the background to this Quit India movement, so what important events we have to talk about? So there is 1939 to 45 Second World War. When World War started, Britain initially was on the back foot. How Britain was on the back foot? Now here you need to know a little bit of world history. For example, what happened? Hitler started, Germany led by Hitler started its Blitzkrieg, that lightning speed war, and all of a sudden most of the continental Europe was now at the feet of Germany, and at the same time Russia has signed, Soviet Union, Stalin, they have signed a no war pact with Germany. So Germany now seems to be in the driver's seat of World War. USA has not yet entered the World War. They will enter after that fateful Pearl Harbor attack by Japan. So USA is not in war. Soviet Union, Russia has signed no war pact with Germany, and Germany has won almost entire continental Europe. Now Britain is left alone, and now Britain needs help from India. So Britain in 1940 sent August offer to India. When they sent August offer to India, India could very well relate the events with the past, that is World War I. When during World War I, Britain wanted help from India, they promised so many things. But now that they are again asking for it, we can recall the past sordid events. What they did to us? When World War I was there and they wanted our help, we did help them. Even the Home Rule movement went little slow to help the British during the World War time. But what were the rewards? We were stabbed in the back. What they did us? If they passed the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919 and provided us provincial diarchy, it was like a sham reform. We were not at all happy with what they have done. That provincial diarchy was totally unworkable. Then they passed the Rowlatt Act. They passed the Rowlatt Act in 1919 and tried to take away the very basic freedoms from the people of India. Neither we were given any reward in the shape of any good reforms. Moreover, we were given the Rowlatt Act, and then to add on to it, there was that Jallianwala Bagh event in which innocent people in Punjab, the city of Amritsar, were mercilessly killed by General Dyer. Now we have learnt a lesson that British may ask for help when they are in trouble, but they will never do anything good for the sake of people of India. So this time when they were on the back foot, when Hitler was winning the way in Germany, in Europe, now they sent us August offer and they tried to make fool of us. They were saying, please help us in the war, and once the war is over, we can discuss the idea of dominion status with you. What about dominion status, and why dominion status at this point of time? Don't you remember back in 1929 at the Lahore session, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has already given the demand for Purna Swaraj. We now want Purna Swaraj, complete independence. Why are you now talking about dominion status? It is as dead as a doornail. This is what Pandit Nehruji told to the British, and now people approached Gandhiji and Gandhiji agreed, all right, let's start individual satyagrah. Don't worry, I am not just rushing with the facts. We will go into the details. I am just giving you the events that we need to discuss and a little introduction of these events. So Gandhiji started individual satyagrah, which was not a very strong agitation against the British, but it was basically to restore the civil rights or liberties in India that has been declined to us because of World War II. Now because India is not accepting the August offer, rather we are in a confrontation like we are confronting the British through individual satyagrah, but now British are more concerned about India because now Japanese forces were moving towards India through Rangoon, through Burma. When the Japanese armies were coming towards India, Japan has already become belligerent against America as well. Japan is already fighting against America, and Japan has already attacked or invaded China. So now both USA and China, they were asking British government to please somehow seek Indian support so that Japan must not now have a free walk into India. If the Japanese enter India and they get hold on the resources of India, then it will be very difficult for China and US to hold Japan onto its back foot, to bring Japan onto its knees, and instead it will be very difficult for Britain to keep its control over India. So before the Japanese now enter India, Britain sent Cripps mission in 1942. Cripps came to India, right? Now what you have to understand, that the British Prime Minister during the wartime, Churchill, he was not very serious of transfer of power to India. That is why he did not send any senior member of his own party. Rather he sent Cripps, who was not a man of his own party, right? So he has very limited power to negotiate with Indians. When Cripps came, he said, see, I have brought an offer that till the wartime, please support us. We can give you little bit of concessions, but after the war, we can discuss the detailed plan and we can talk about that in what way, to what an extent we can share power with Indians. Gandhiji categorically told Cripps, see, we need no post-dated check. How can you talk about giving something to us after the war? Do you think that without Indian support at this point of time, when Japan has come so close, when Germany has become so strong, do you think that you can survive the war? And if you lose the war, then if you are promising us that you will give us something after the war, and meanwhile the Japanese take control over India, do you think that Japanese will entertain the promises that you are making with us? So this post-dated check make no sense to us. At this point of time, Pandit Nehruji added one more statement. He said it is not just a post-dated check. The offer made by Cripps is not just a post-dated check, rather it is a post-dated check on a crashing bank. On a crashing bank means Britain is already losing. Britain is already losing, and because they are losing, how can they give us a post-dated check, that a promise to be fulfilled after the war? If you have something to offer right now, right here, let's talk. Otherwise, we are ready for our Quit India movement. Now, this is the background with which we have to understand the Quit India movement, and there are few more things. For example, during all these years, the war years, inflation in India was very high. So, common people were not very happy, right? Common people were not happy because of this, and now they need an opportunity to come out in the open to defy the British rule in India. Similarly, because of the wartime, the British policies in India were very strong. They have imposed emergency, they have denied us our basic freedoms. People were fed up with this. So there were multiple factors, but the most important factors being that, yes, World War II started. Britain asked India to help the British cause in the war. When India was not willing, British declared India a party to war. They could do it because they were ruling over us, but see what they did. When they declared India party to war in 1939, 2 years before this, in 1937, elections were held in India. Elections were held in 1937 on the basis of 1935's Government of India Act. So when in 1937 elections were held, Congress came to power in 8 provinces. Now that's a separate story, but yes, Congress was in power. Now that you have to declare India a party to war, in a democratic system you have to consult the representatives of the people, but the government did not bother to consult Congress or the ministers or the leaders of the nationalist movement. They declared India party to war at their own sweet will. Now against this, the popularly elected Congress ministries resigned. Now this resignation of the popularly elected ministries was yet another cause for much unrest in the society, Indian society. People were very fed up. Now that ministries have resigned, you have thrown India to war, and then you are sending things like August Offer and Cripps mission, in which you are not offering what exactly we are asking for. Instead, you are trying to befool us. And then when we started individual satyagrah, you were not ready to allow it. You crushed it with some brutal force. And meanwhile, Japan is moving towards India, and if the Japanese come, they are non-expansionist imperialist power, and they are more horrible, they are more gruesome at that point of time. Japanese, the way they have entered into China and the way they played havoc in China, our leadership had a very serious concern that why should we let Japanese come. Now why Japanese are coming to India? Why they are coming? Because they are fighting the war against the British. Why they are coming to India? Because British rule India. If somehow we request the British to leave India and they leave India, it will be very easy for us to request the Japanese, now that we are an independent civilization, kindly let us be what we are and do not invade or attack or take over our territory. This is one thought process, right? A very wishful, but yes, the very simple thought process. So at this point of time, we started talking about the idea of Quit India movement. You know, British said, see, the times are very difficult. The fascist forces, Hitler, Mussolini and Japanese, they are very powerful. If we leave India at this time, on one hand, the international environment is so gruesome. On the other hand, within India, the Muslim League, the Hindu Mahasabha, all these parties are having divergent views, and there can be a very serious conflict in the society within India. So at this point, if we leave India, we may end up leaving India in complete anarchy, and we do not think that we should do this. To this, Gandhiji very humbly replied that you must leave India, and you leave India to God, right? God will protect us, but you please go now. It's enough. You have to quit India. Now the name Quit India has to be decided, and it was proposed by one very prominent leader whose name I gave yesterday, and I will give in subsequent time. I hope you remember, and if you remember, you can type it in the chat box, right? So it was on 8th of August that Gandhiji in 1942 gave the call of do or die, karo ya maro. And I think for UPSC aspirants, it is also a call, do or die, karo ya maro. But here maro, die, doesn't mean that you must die. It is do what is required for IAS and let all the unnecessary things which deviate us from our aim, let them die down. Do and die, not do or die, it's do and die, right? On one hand, Gandhiji started this August Kranti, and on the other hand, in 1944, C. Raj Gopalacharya, he, on being asked by Gandhiji, prepared Rajaji formula that how Congress and Muslim League together can work for India's independence. A very brilliant idea, a very brilliant plan formulated. But when Gandhiji and Jinnahji met to discuss the idea at Bombay, somehow the idea could not materialize, and with the failure of Gandhi-Jinnah talks, the CR formula itself failed. When the CR formula failed, most of the people who were hoping for some sort of understanding between Congress and Muslim League, they were now fully dejected. Meanwhile, one more effort in 1945 was made by Bulla Bhai Desai of Congress and Liaquat Ali Khan of Muslim League when they signed Desai-Liaquat Pact. But because Jinnahji did not approve the Desai-Liaquat Pact, even it failed. Now the idea was only and only to get a separate state for the Muslims, as the Muslim League in 1940 Lahore session has already given a call for two-nation theory, right? Then in 1945 itself, Lord Wavell, the Governor General of India, he came up with his own plan. The plan was to avoid partition of India, right? And the plan was to ensure that British are not asked to completely leave India. So there was an idea in the mind of Lord Wavell that let's try keep India associated with Britain in this or that way, and let's avoid the partition. And to discuss the plan, he called Shimla Conference in 1945. On one hand, the Shimla Conference was going on to decide the fate of India. On the other hand, in 1946 another event is to happen, which has to be understood in connection with another event of 1945. So while Wavell was discussing plans for India's future, the League, Muslim League and Congress and other parties, they could not come to a common ground, because of which the Shimla Conference failed, with which the Wavell plan too failed. But on the other hand, I hope you all remember, Subhash Chandra Bose, one of the great leaders of our freedom struggle, he made Azad Hind Fauj, Indian National Army, but that Indian National Army ultimately fell to the British, unfortunately, and many of the soldiers were arrested, the officers were arrested. Now when they were arrested, 1945 is the year when INA trials started, the famous Red Fort trials. Against these trials there were many agitations, and one such agitation was started by the ratings of Indian Navy, the Royal Indian Navy. It also started an agitation to release the INA trials, to release the under trials in the INA trials. So a very serious situation developed where the Navy turned mutinious, right? The Navy was ready to mutiny. At this point of time, the British became quite serious. In England, the Prime Minister, the newly elected Prime Minister, Sir Clement Attlee, I'm so sorry, Mr. Clement Attlee, not Sir Ramsay MacDonald, but Mr. Clement Attlee, he had to make a statement in the House of Commons, in Parliament in Britain, that the situation is turning quite serious in India. We need to take an immediate action, and within no time a cabinet mission was sent to India. This cabinet mission came with a clear instruction: let Indians have their own constituent assembly. Let Indians have their own constituent assembly. Let them write their constitution independently. Let's help them with a interim government. Let them work for their freedom now. We are ready to transfer the power very soon. And then to transfer this power, they sent Mr. Mountbatten to India in 1947, who then gave his plan, the 3rd June plan. The 3rd June plan is basically the Mountbatten plan, which talks about India's independence and partition, which was then implemented through Indian Independence Act of 15th August 1947. Right? So these are those important events which I have to discuss in the subsequent classes, and on 15th of August this year we will once again celebrate India's independence, as we do every year, right? So in next 7 classes I will cover all these events by interlinking them, not just within Indian history but with history of world as well. And at the end of the session I will give you these notes that I have prepared for you, so that you can use them for your quick revision. All right, thank you very much everyone. God bless you all. Best wishes. Bye bye.